Late autumn 1943. A dimly lit signals bunker outside Paris. The air thick with the scent of damp concrete, cigarette smoke, and the faint metallic tang of radio tubes glowing warmly in the dark. Snow flurries whisper against the narrow slit windows as a young Nachrichtenhelferin, one of the Blitzmädel in her gray uniform marked by the lightning flash insignia, adjusts the dial on a forbidden shortwave receiver. Her shift is quiet. The official channels carry only martial music and Goebbels' unyielding proclamations. But tonight, curiosity draws her hand to the enemy frequencies. As the static clears, a wave of sound pours forth, clear, vibrant American voices singing in harmony. Swing rhythms, big band horns, the carefree lilt of Glenn Miller's orchestra playing In the Mood, followed by a warm announcer introducing requests from soldiers far across the Atlantic. The notes dance through the bunker, bright and unburdened, like sunlight breaking through perpetual overcast skies. This moment, fleeting yet profound, captures the hidden fracture in the Reich's iron facade. In the heart of occupied Europe, young German women serving as signals auxiliaries, known affectionately yet derisively as Blitzmädel for their lightning emblem, were tasked with monitoring the airwaves. Officially, their duty was to intercept Allied communications, relay orders, and maintain the Wehrmacht's vast network of telephone and telegraph lines. Over 100,000 women would eventually serve in these roles, many drawn from the Bund Deutscher Mädel, the League of German Girls, where they had been schooled in loyalty, discipline, and the ideals of National Socialism. By 1943, with manpower stretched thin across two fronts, these auxiliaries formed the backbone of the Signals Corps, operating switchboards and bunkers, manning teletype machines in occupied cities, and scanning frequencies for intelligence. Yet the very tools of their trade, powerful shortwave receivers, opened windows to the forbidden. Listening to Feinsender, enemy stations, was a grave offense under Nazi law, punishable by imprisonment or, in wartime, even death. Signs warned sternly, listening to enemy broadcasts is treason. Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels controlled domestic radio with an iron grip, filling the Volksempfänger sets in every home with triumphant marches, folk songs sanitized of degenerate jazz influences, and relentless speeches extolling the Führer's vision. Jazz and swing, deemed Jewish Negro decadence, had been banned from German airwaves since 1933. What these young women expected was reinforcement of their worldview, a nation united in struggle, superior in spirit, destined for victory. They had grown up amid rallies, youth camps, and the promise of a 1,000-year Reich. Duty was sacred, sacrifice noble. The enemy was portrayed as plutocratic warmongers, culturally barren, driven by greed and chaos. But what they encountered on those illicit dials was something entirely different. American shortwave broadcasts, beamed across the ocean by the Armed Forces Radio Service and stations like the Voice of America precursor networks, carried not just news but entertainment. Hours of swing music, popular songs, and the unmistakable sound of abundance. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, the Andrews Sisters singing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Voices of American GIs requesting tunes for sweethearts back home, announcers joking lightly, programs laced with the easy confidence of a society untouched by rationing's bite or nightly bombings. Historical records from post-war interrogations and diaries reveal the impact. Many Blitzmädels stationed in France, Norway, or the Eastern Front secretly tuned in during off hours. One former auxiliary recalled in a 1950s memoir how groups of girls would huddle around a receiver, faces flushing with a mix of thrill and shame as forbidden melodies filled the room. The music was infectious, rhythms that made feet tap involuntarily, lyrics evoking carefree dances and endless possibilities. American voices sang of love, freedom, and plenty, worlds away from the austere marches of their own broadcasts. Factual accounts weave through veteran testimonies. By 1944, as Allied advances intensified, more auxiliaries reported listening despite risks. U.S. Army Signal Corps monitoring stations noted spikes in German intercepts referencing enemy music, while captured diaries spoke of that American swing as a guilty pleasure. One documented quote from a Nachrichtenhelferin, preserved in Bundesarchiv files, described the sensation. The voices were so alive, so happy, it made our songs sound like funeral dirges. This contrast struck deep. They expected propaganda laced with hatred. Instead, they heard joy. They anticipated weakness. They found vitality. The blushing came not just from the romance in the lyrics, crooners like Frank Sinatra serenading with "I'll Be Seeing You," but from the dawning realization of disparity. In America, even in wartime, life pulsed with energy, factories humming, bands touring, soldiers writing home about movies and baseball. The recurring symbol of this abundance was the music itself, the smooth, swinging sound of big bands, representing a democracy that allowed creativity to flourish, where individuals expressed themselves freely, unyoked by state decree. For many, these stolen moments planted seeds of doubt. Post-war reflections from former auxiliaries often highlight a transformation. The rigid ideology of duty and racial superiority began to crack. One woman in a 1960s oral history admitted that hearing American troops sing along to requests humanized the enemy. Soldiers like their own brothers, yet from a land of apparent plenty and personal liberty. The music symbolized not just cultural difference, but ideological fracture, a society where voices harmonized without compulsion, where abundance was shared, not hoarded for the elite. As the war turned inexorably against the Reich, Stalingrad's fall echoing in grim bulletins, Allied bombers darkening skies, these broadcasts became lifelines to another reality. Some auxiliaries deserted switchboards in the final months, others surrendered eagerly to advancing Americans, citing the allure of that freer world glimpsed through the ether. In the end, those blushing faces in dimly lit bunkers reflected a larger truth. The sound of American voices singing on shortwave did not win battles alone, yet it eroded the foundations of fanaticism from within. It whispered of a freedom that allowed song to soar unchecked, of abundance born not from conquest, but from open hearts and open societies. In the quiet hush after the music faded, many young women confronted the hollow echo of their own regime's promises, and glimpsed perhaps for the first time the enduring light of democracy's melody.